Okay, so guys, now get ready for this amazing question. You are going to give yourself 10 out of 10 if you are going to solve this project. I'm not saying it's very tough, but it's not even basic. We are going to have a lot of fun in this. We need to find out here triplets, three numbers, a combination of three numbers, any combination of triplets, right? Of triplets, which means three numbers, which on addition gives us 1. For example, let me explain my point. This is your list, right? Score. If I pick the first three numbers, what is the first three numbers, the combination? It's gonna be 2 and then 1 and then -2. Correct or not? Can you add these numbers? What are you going to get? You're going to get 1, right? So that's your first combination. So your program should give you this list. It should give you the list that, okay, there is a combination I have found, which if you add is going to give you 1. Any three numbers from this list randomly, right? If you pick, for example, then 2, 1, -2 is fine. What is another combination? Well, you can pick 2, -2 and 2 as well, right? So if I'm going to pick 2 and -2 and 2, right? This is not going to give me 1. This is basically going to give me 2. So that means this is, I don't want it. I don't want it. So your program should skip this combination. It should not publish this combination, right? So in this way, these are 4 numbers. So we want to find out which combination can give us total 1, and there must be 3 numbers. I'm using must word. There must be a combination of 3 numbers, not less than 3, not more than 3. Are you ready for this? You understood the point. And of course, if tomorrow I add more numbers, if tomorrow I add more numbers, our program should be dynamic. It should automatically then give us the combinations of different those the combinations of in the form of list, right? Because obviously if there are 3 numbers, then I expect that when I run, the program should give me this type of a list, that this is your list, 2, 1 and -2. And then there is another list. If let's say there is another list, then I should see another list. That is the plan. Now let me start this. It doesn't matter how long video will go. We don't care. I never care about these things. I have always said it takes months, years to become strong in programming. You can't get the knowledge in 5 minutes. This is absolutely foolishness. I'm sorry I'm using a very strong word, but many students, they think that they're just going to learn programming in just 1 day, 2 day, 3 day. No, that's not possible. Even trainers like us learn today after such a long experience. Anyways, let me not get emotional, diverted to a different path. Okay, let's now, what I want to do basically, I try to make, going to create the logic as in I'm not a programmer, so that all of us can, you can connect with me, right? See, first of all, I have to pick 3 numbers, right? I have to pick 3 numbers. That's for sure. There's no choice in this, right? Now, if I have to pick 3 numbers, that means I will see that basically how many numbers I have here, because all the numbers are going to participate in those 3 numbers, isn't it? Right? So I'm going to check that how many numbers basically I have total. How many numbers I have? How many numbers I have in that list, for example, right? What do you mean by that? It means that basically we can use the length function to calculate the total numbers, right? Like for example, how many numbers we have here? 1, 2, 3 and 4, right? There are 4 numbers, right? But if I have to access the first element of the list, I am going to use the 0 index. So please make sure that when we count these, 0 should be the first one. But you also know that if I use the length function, I'll get here what? 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 minus 1 basically, right? So I can say that, okay, so it means that 3 is the total length. Or we can say that starting from 0 to 3, these are the number of values we have in our list, isn't it? Right? 0, 1, 2, and 3. Now this is clear. Now the question is that why I'm so much focused in counting this? Well, the thing is, we are going to create a loop. Okay? We are going to create a loop. We are going to create a for loop. Okay? I know that the first number is 0. There's no doubt. Right? So we will say that the loop should start with 0, definitely. But where it is going to stop, this is the main important point now. Where it is going to stop, right? So loop should start with 0 and one by one it should pick all values and check a combination of three numbers if they are giving total as 1, isn't it? Right? So the plan is very simple. If I know that what is the total length here, I can go one by one and I can start saying, look Python, I know that there are total 0 to 3. So 3 is a length basically, right? So I can say you have to start from 0 and then you have to go and take the one value, right? And then you have to go and use this value, which means index, and then you have to use this index as well. That's it. After this there is no other index available. These are the indexes available, so that's why we are interested in counting the what in counting the these combinations. Right? Now see, now when I said score 1, score 0, basically I'm only saying this thing, that when the first time the loop runs, okay, I'm going to keep the 2 as fixed. Okay, I'm going to keep the here. So when the first time the loop runs, I'm going to keep this score 0 as fixed. And I'm going to say that, okay, 0 plus 1 you have to give me, right? So that we can pick the next value. And then 0 plus 2 I'm going to pick, right? I know I can write here 1 and 2 also, but there is a reason for that. I'll just explain you. So the plan is three numbers are going to be 2, 1, and minus 2, right? So you will have a combination. Which combination you will have when the loop is going to run? Well, as I said that 2 is the 0 index. We will go then for the 1, and then we will go for the minus 2. Correct? After this loop checks if the total is 1 or not. If it is, then we will have that value, the combination stored. We will use the append method of the list, right? Otherwise, we will just simply go to the next loop, right? In the next loop, what is going to happen? In the next loop, I'm saying we will keep this score again as 0. Okay, in the same this here. I'll again keep this as score 0. I mean, I'll keep the first index intact, unchanged. And here, what I'm going to do, instead of the 1 now, I'm going to pick this one. Okay, I'm going to pick this one, the minus 2. You got the point? So here, basically, the plan will be that we're going to actually, from the previous one, we will add 1 to it. Okay, so then, so that this time it's 2 minus 2. And then the third number is going to be from the previous 2, it's going to be, we will add one more value to it. So then we will have a combination of 2 minus 2 and 2, right? Isn't it? So first these three numbers we will check. Then I have done the combination, so I'll keep my 2 same, I'll not change, but instead of 1 and minus 2, the next numbers we will pick. So 1 will be minus 2 and minus 2 will be 2, and we will add them and we will see. After this, there is no other combination left as far as 2 is concerned, right? Because there's no number afterwards, right? So that means the moment the length of the list, when the loop is going to cross the go beyond the length of the list, the last index which we have here, right, which is whatever 3, right, in this case 3, 0, 1, 2, 3, we will immediately exit from this. When we are going to exit from this, then the next time guys, we will have the same combination again, 3 numbers, but this time this is going to be now 1 and -2 and 2. Now this 2 we will not touch because we have already seen the combinations of the other values with 2, right? So this time it's gonna be score 1, the score 1, and then what? Score 1 and then score 2 and then score 3, right? Once this is done, this is also covered because now there's no other number. We cannot have any triple combination after this, right? Again, then the loop comes back and now the loop will try to pick this value in the combination of other values, but then the loop will see, okay, so there's no actually third number left because you are almost at the end, so loop will not do anything, right? And when then we will go and check the 2 as well. So can we check the combination of 2? There's no combination because the rest all the combinations are covered. Are you getting the point, right? So this is what basically the plan is. This is what I have to do now. Okay, so let me just copy this and let's start this now. The first thing is that we have to take the help of the loop. Okay, so let's start now here. Okay, so the first thing, I'm going to create a function here. So I'm going to create here a function called triplet. Press enter, right? And from here I'm going to call this triplet, right? We're going to call this using the scores, obviously, right? Now, since I said that we are going to look for all the combinations and we are going to create a list out of it. So definitely we need a list which actually should be empty for the first time, right? So I'm just going to say that my final underscore list is in the beginning, it is empty, right? And then because obviously the moment we find the combinations, we will go and add those combinations in this list. That's the whole point, right? Now I want to make this code dynamic, right? Now it is very much clear that I have to run this code from the 0 index, right? Because we want to pick this value, guys, 2. Remember, I want to keep 2 as fixed and the rest of the values should keep on changing, making sure that there are total 3 numbers including 2, right? And then the same thing will happen with the 1 and the same thing will happen with the -2 and 2. So wherever we have 3 numbers combination is coming, loop will go and try to add them and see if it is a 1 or not. If I'm not left with 3 numbers, then the loop will exit. Loop will not work, obviously. So we're going to say that for starting position, if I find the need of changing the names of these variables, I'll definitely do that because it's quite, very tricky, the loop which we are now writing. So we are saying that for starting position, right? I'm going to use the word called range. You know that, right? We have already covered this. So how many times I have to run this loop? I will go and use the length word later, but right now I just want to give you more clarity by not using the length function. How many values we have here? 0, 1, 2, 3. Correct? So I'm going to write here 4 because this means up to 4. Up to 4, isn't it? Right? So this will start from 0. By default, it always starts from 0. And this is going to, go and stop at 3 basically because up to 4 means 4 is not included. So here we are clearly saying that the loop is going to run 0 time, 1 time, and then 2 time, and then 3 time. That's it. So we have, when we are going to run this 4 times, all these values 2, 1, -2, 2, we will go and cross check them. We will try to find out their combinations. That's the whole point. Okay. So let me go and press enter. Now what I have to do, now you see I have to basically, because starting position here at this point in time, the starting position will be 0, right? Because we are just starting the code, correct? So at this point I want to check that, by the way, here we have to use what they call the parameter, right? Because we are supplying the argument, right? So I'm just going to say my lst, for example, my list, correct or not, right? So this is what basically we want to go and use. Now, just to make sure that we are getting the right loop, I want to actually print the values first of all. Start position. I want to see that if I am able to get 0, 1, 2 or whatever, over here or not. So first of all, let's run this program, guys. That's the most important point, right? I want to make sure we are getting the right value. Okay, and okay, sorry. Print start position. Is this correct? Yes. Let me run the code. Yeah, so you see that I have got here 0, 1, and 2, and 3. Fantastic, right? So now the plan is that once we have got these values, so obviously we don't want to print the values. What I'm going to do, I'm going to actually use here 3 values, right? So I'm saying that if my list, which is actually score, which is actually 2 1 minus 2 2, yeah, right? You have already seen the function. I've explained you everything. So we are going to say that, okay, so start position, if this plus the next value, which basically is going to come by adding 1 on this number. So if the start position is 0, this becomes what? 1, which means if it is 2, then the next number here is 1. 2 plus 1, that's what we are trying to do, right? So same way, we are going to access this, the another position, which is actually plus 2, right? So 0 plus 2 makes it 2, which means minus 2. So here, right now, at this point in time, I'm targeting 2, 1, and minus 2. So I'm checking that, are you equals to 1, right? Now, if you're equals to 1, then what I have to do? It's very simple. Then the list which we have created, final list, we want to append the value over there, right? We want to append that, the value. Which value? That combination, basically. Which combination? This combination. This combination, right? So we are simply going to say that we want this combination to be appended in that the list. So this is going to be plus 1 and this is going to be plus 2. Correct or not? Right? And please make sure that, because now you're appending the list in the list, right? We want this should go as a list, isn't it? Right? So we make sure that when we are doing all this, we should actually put the scare brackets again. Okay, so this is the most important part. So we must go and put the scare brackets here so that this should be considered as a list, right? So up till here, if the combination goes perfect, then we will have the final list printed, right? So at the end of the loop here, I want to print the loop also. I mean this list, right? So we're going to print the value here so that we can see what exactly has happened, right? I mean, what are those combinations, isn't it? Now, guys, see, the point is, at this point in time, you have to make sure one thing, because you see, if I run this code right now, let me run the program. Let's see that. Okay, let's see that what is going to happen. Look at this. It says that this line is giving us the error, and the error is index out of a range. When the index out of a range comes, I have told you, when you're trying to access a index of that value present in the list which actually does not exist. Now if I say that get me the value of the score 6th index, obviously you will say it doesn't make any sense, and if you run it you will get this error, right? Now what exactly is happening here, I want to explain you. You see this, what is this? This is starting position, right? Which is, if you don't mention it, it's basically 0, right? So here, as I said, the first time your starting position, when the first time the loop runs, what is going to happen? Your starting position variable will have value called 0. Correct or not? Right? So when this will have value of 0, this particular value, this becomes my list 0. Right? So this is going to pick the value called 2. Good. This becomes 0 plus 1. Right? Which means we are trying to slice this, we are trying to access the first index of the my list, right? Which is what? 1. Got it? Right? Then here, this becomes 0 plus 2. 0 plus 2 means minus 2. So the combination will check, and the loop, if it is 1, then loop will come here. If it is not, then we have not written anything in the else. So the loop will simply go back, and this time the starting position will be 1. Correct or not? when the second time the loop runs, right? When the starting position is going to be 1, this becomes 1 plus 1. And this becomes 1 plus 2, which means 3. You still have the third index available, 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? So again, the loop will check the combination, and if it is true, then loop will try to append that in the final list, hopefully. Otherwise, the loop will come back here, right? Now, after, as I said, when again the loop runs, now your start position is going to be what it is going to be? It is going to be 2, right? Now, if the start position is 2, this becomes 3, which is perfect because third index is available, 0, 1, 2, 3. 2 is available, right? But here we have a problem because this becomes 2 plus 2, 4. You don't have the fourth index available, 0, 1, 2, 3 as I said, and that's the reason it says that list index out of a range. So as a result, what is happening, even if we would have appended some values in the list, because of this error, we are not going to see that because the program is being stopped here. So I hope I'm able to explain this right. Now what we are supposed to do, there can be a lot of ways, but what I think is that what we can do when we are going to here do the testing, put the logic, if that combination, the total value is 1 or not, before that line we must check we should not be out of index. So it's very simple. We will simply say that, look boy, this is my starting position plus 2, right? I'm already adding 2 because why we are adding 2? You know that because this is the highest index out of these three, right? So I'm saying that as long as you are less than and equals to, less than equals to what? 3. We are okay. 3, why 3? Because 0, 1, 2, and 3, right? So you are supposed to go inside this if and check that if the total is 1 or not. The moment adding 2 to the starting position becomes higher than 3, which means the last index of the list, we cannot go inside it. We will say goodbye. We will say bye bye because otherwise you'll get the error, out of index. Now this 3, I don't want to write here 3 because I want to make this code dynamic so that if tomorrow I have more values in the list, my length function is going to do that, right? So I'm going to simply say scores. Make sense? Now length returns me the value 1, 2, 3, 4 because length doesn't start with 0. That's only when you actually want to access the list, isn't it? So we will keep this balancing act here and I'm just going to say 1. Okay, I think I still need not to write here anything in the else because it's very simple. The moment you are greater than, the total, the last index of the this list score, or I should say this my list, actually it's one and the same thing because we are passing this, over here. So at that point in time, there's no point for me to go and try to add these values because this will not be available. So we simply go back to the loop here, right? And we will check the next combination basically, right? And I think by the time this situation will come, uh, it's definitely going to exit from here. I mean, this is the plan, right? So I have handled this thing here, and now if I try to run this, I think we should see the value. I mean, we should see the answer, right? So let me just go and try to run this. I'm not sure if we will not get the combination, then obviously we will have to try, right? Look at this now. I see here the first combination, guys. 2, 1, and minus 2. If you add this combination, 2, 1, minus 2, right? This is the first combination, right? My Python has picked up this combination, and this actually is giving me answer called 1. If you add 2 plus 1 and then minus 2, it becomes 1. Very nice, right? This combination 1 minus 2 and minus 2, I think this is this combination. So again, if you add these three numbers, your total will be 1. Now this is really super, isn't it? Right? So can we quickly check because the list is very small. So if you add the first three numbers, it becomes 1. I have got that. If you add, as I was telling you, that if you add 2 minus 2 and 2, because this is another combination. So 2 minus 2 becomes 0 and 0 plus 2 becomes 2. So this is not the combination, right? So we are done with this. Then we can check this combination. This is another combination, right? Again, this combination is not going to give us, yeah, this combination is giving us 1. Again, if you add three numbers, right? After this, I think it's not going inside that, because the point is you just have two numbers only left, right? So there's no point that the combination is going to come. Now, the point is, what we are going to do is, I'm just going to add here one more number just to check that if we are getting the, what do you call, a different result or not. So I'm going to add here the -1. So if I run this, let's see now what is going to happen. So again, I still have basically only two combinations, right? Are they correct? Yes, 1 minus 2 and 2, 1 minus 2 and 2, right? So 1 2 and -1, this is not working, right? So what I do is, because I have added this number, so this, let's say if I pick this 1, and basically I'm saying that first combination, if I pick 1, then this is the combination, right? And then the another combination is 1 2 and -1, right? So in case of 1 and -2, I'm just going to say 2. I'm just going to say here 2, right? So this becomes 1, this becomes 1 -2 and 2. I think this combination also exists. This should exist, isn't it? 1 -2 and 2, which is actually already there, right? Right. So anyways, let me just go and hit on this. So we're getting the right combinations. If I'm going to now what I'm going to do, and by the way, yes, you see, this should not be now 4, because 0 1 2 3 0 1 2 3 4, yeah. So this should be up to 5, right? So it's better we go and write this as scores. Okay, and again I'm going to subtract 1 from it, so that all the combinations should be picked up, right? So I'm going to run this here, and still I have only two combination. So guys, if I write here -1 0 0 minus maybe 1 maybe 1 maybe 1, for example, and if we try to run this, let's see that do we have more combinations. Look at this, we are starting getting here the combinations. 2 -1 0, if you add this combination, it comes out to be what? 1. If I add these 0 0 1, again, this is also the another combination. I think so. This is the latest, the maximum number of combinations which are actually giving us the value called 1. If you want to change this value, you can always change this value. There is no challenge in this, right? And I'll prefer writing here 0. I think that's more clear, right? Though this is an optional, but I mean, you can write it. So this makes sense that the loop has to run from, 0 up till this level, right? I explained you this thing, but it's not that, I have just thought of this in few seconds, in few minutes. No, it is not that. I think I have, when I was, I was working on this, somebody asked me this question actually. I found it very interesting. So I thought on this maybe for, I think, 20-25 minutes, and there were a lot of issues coming which I was not then, I mean, able to successfully resolve. So I did a lot of kind of, I have checked the things. I have, at every line, I try to use the print command to see what is happening. For example, I'll tell you what was happening. This index error was coming, right? Because I was not using this condition. Let me just, this condition is gone, for example, right? For the time being, right? Now, if you go and run this, as I said, again, the same thing will happen, that index will not be able to, we will not be able to reach out to the list, because the moment your start position is going to be, let's say, 3 or 4, this becomes 2, and because of which we will not have that particular index in the list, because we are actually adding 2 to it, right? So we have to take care of this thing. So for example, if I just keep this short, for example, like this is how it was, right? So now start position has to go from 0 to 4 in this case, right? 0 1 2 and 3, 3 actually, 0 1 2 3. So when the start position is going to be 3, as I was explaining you here, right? So this becomes 3 plus 2, isn't it? 3 plus 2 means fifth. So we are saying that we want to access the fifth index of the list, and that's not available, right? So when I saw this error, so I immediately did not understand. So what I did, I said that, okay, let me do one thing. Let me put here a print command. I want to see that what is happening actually, right? So I said that, okay, I want to see that start position, if this is coming correct or not. I want to see this thing, right? I want to see this thing, start position, if this is coming correct or not. So I started printing this, okay? And then I ran the code, you know. So when I ran the code, you see, I got here 0 and 1 and 2. I got here 0 and 1 and 2, which means 0, 1 and 2. Afterwards, why the 3 didn't come? Why the 3 didn't come? I mean, what is happening? Because the moment it becomes 3, this becomes 5, right? So that's the problem, right? So somehow, I mean, I was not able to reach out to this particular the line, right? I was not able to reach. Then again, what I did then, I said that, okay, let's do one thing. Let me just have all these values, let me have all these values in the print statement. I want to uh, you know dig down more deeply into this. I want to really see that actually what is going on, right? So I said that, okay, I want to print all these, right? Because obviously if I'm using them in my calculation, right, they must be having some value, they must be getting some values, right? Otherwise how I can use that, right? So I put these all here, and then I said that, okay, now let's go and try to run this program, right? Let's see the values in one go. So I again then started running the code, and then I saw that, so this is the situation which, let me just comment this, because I think this is giving me the list. So let me comment this, and let me just run this again. Okay, yeah, so yeah, so here I think 2, 1 and -2, it's giving me the value of the, when the start position is 0, so it's picking the value 2, right? Obviously, because index 0 of this list is 2. So again, see, I'm telling you that how actually it happened, right? Before I showed this code to you, right? Efforts are always there. So let me remove the list. I don't want to access the list. I don't want to access. I just want to see what's going on, right? So I now simply will pick the variables, you can say. Let me run the code now. Okay. So this is where actually I got to know what is going on, what wrong is going on. See, I saw that, okay, if this is 0, obviously this becomes 1 and this becomes 2, right? The next time when the loop again runs, so this start position now is incremented by 1, so that becomes 1 and this becomes 2 and 3, right? So again, it means that if it is able to print the next value, so this means this line is able to execute. Python is executing these values. Otherwise, you would have got the error over here, somewhere here, right? So that means 1, 2, 3. After 1, 2, 3, it picked 2, 3, 5, which means when the start position becomes 2, this basically becomes 3, and this becomes 4. After this, I'm not getting the result, because as per my understanding, you can also see start position, if it is starting from 0, it has to go 1, 2, and 3. So where is my start position 3? Because it is not printing me 3, 4, and 5. And that's where I realized my mistake. So I said, okay, so when 2 and 3 and 4 are, we are passing in here, my list 2 becomes -2. My list third index becomes 1. But my list fourth index is nowhere. 0, 1, 2, 3, and nowhere. That's why immediately the code was stopping here. I got the point there, right? That's where I then realized what's happening. Okay, and then I actually put this condition that start position, when you add two numbers, two digit to the start position, and whatever the value comes, for example this time it's 4, right? So when the 4 is, if the 4 is less than equals to the total number of values available here, subtracting 1, right? Because length means 1, 2, 3, 4 overall. So index starts with 0, so we have to balance, right? That is the point where you will say, now after this we cannot compare because we are at the end of the list, right? So that's where we say that now we don't have to do anything. So basically you can say else, and you don't have to, you just say that, we don't want to do anything here. we just want to, immediately go and exit from that. Okay, and finally you see, because of this indentation, this line, every time all these values are going to be appended in the list, right? And so it keeps running, keep running. We'll have all the combination, at last I will have that value basically printed, isn't it? Right? So when I now run the program, this is basically the plan. I mean, it's going to give us everything, right? Okay, and this says that there is a indentation problem in the line, the 37. So line 37 has some the problem. One second, let me check that. What is the issue? So basically, yeah, so it's actually else over here. Yeah, this else should belongs to this if. Let me go and run this code again. So now you see that I have got here 2, 1 and minus 2. Okay, see, 2 and 1 and minus 2. So this is the combination it has picked up, right or wrong? And this becomes, if you add this, this becomes 1. Now there is another combination, guys. If you see here, 1 minus 2 and 1. No, sorry, 2 and then minus 2, right? And then 1. 2 minus 2 and 1. This and this. Now this combination I'm not getting here. You see that? The reason is because right now what we are doing, I'm actually comparing 2, 1 minus 2, and then 1 minus 2, 1, and then minus 2, 1, and there is no third number, so loop is exiting, right? But you see, what we discussed is that we are going to keep this number fixed, and rest all the numbers will keep on changing one by one. So first 2 plus 1 plus minus 2, then 2 remains same. We will, instead of 1, we will pick minus 2. Instead of minus 2, we will pick 1. I mean, this way. And then we will come back, and now this will be the major area, the fixed area. Here now I will keep 1 as it is, and I will start moving and picking the other two numbers, and I will keep shuffling from one number to another, but 1 remains the fix. I mean, that's it. That is how you are going to actually create the combinations, right? But right now there is no as such thing which is happening here. So in order to do that, which is the last thing, we will do all these things, but this is not giving me the all the combination. So I will start writing here for x in, again I will go and use this for x in what? For x in the list, right? Or we can use the range word, start from 0 to, and then the length of my list like this. Okay, and minus 1. This is what I'm going to do. So obviously you have to go and indent everything. So I'm just going to press tab key here, right? Now for x in this, the range which I am putting here from 0 to the length, right? Now see, the most important part here, this is a loop inside the loop. This is not going to be 0. This is, instead of 0, this is basically now is going to be the start position, right? The start position. So I'm going to write here the start position. Why? Because if I write a loop inside a loop, till the time I'm not done with this for loop, right, we will never actually execute the bigger loop, the outside loop. So as long as, when the first time the loop runs, if you see at this point in time here, the start position is going to be 0, right? Which actually means that start position is here 0. So you are saying that you want to run this code from 0 to the length minus 1, which means 0, 1, 2, 3, right? 3. So you are saying that I want to run this loop 0 to 3 times, correct? Start position plus 2. This remains same, or you can in fact change this to x also, because x is going to take that value from here. But anyways, I'll keep this same, right? So this calculation, when this is going to work 0 to 3, this will pick this value and then keep over here, this point here. Start position will not change, but here I'm going to replace this with x. You got the point? I'm going to replace this with x. Okay, you can, so start position till the time we are in this loop, it's not going to be 1, right? Because when I'm done with this, only then the start position will be 1 and then 2 and then whatever, right? So here I'm saying that it's always going to be the addition of the first value, right, which is right now 0, which is 2, and then because x starts with here 0 2 3, so x is going to be 1, and then x here is going to be 0 plus 2, which is 2. So if this is working, then we like to append, otherwise loop again goes back, and now again, as you know, x will change but the start position will not change because start position is already taken from here, right, which is 0. Now the x is going to be 1, remember that, right? So here again my list start still remains 2, but x is now 1, so 1 plus 1 makes it 2, and then this 1 plus 2 makes it 3. So basically 2 remains as it is. Now instead of 1 and minus 2, it's minus 2 and 1 which we are picking. The next time when the code runs here, you find that the length is exceeded, so code will stop. When the code will stop, it goes back to the start position, the bigger loop, right? And now the start position, instead of the 0, it's basically now has will have become start position as 1, right? When the start position becomes 1, then this loop, instead of running from 0 to 3, it's actually going to run from now 1 to 3 because length remains the same, right? When this becomes 1 to 3, this particular value now will always be fixed till the time you are running inside this loop for x, right? So this becomes 1, then that means now the 1 remains fixed, but the other numbers keep on shuffling because x plus 1 and x plus 2, this number will always change because it has to go 1 2 3, 1 2 and 3, right? So that's why I'm saying that, so one by one we will check all these numbers. Okay, and when it comes to the minus 2 the next time, because when the start position is going to be 2, so this becomes minus 2. But when it becomes minus 2, the problem here is that over here this the condition, yeah, here the condition will fail because the moment you add 2 to it, this will be beyond the index of this, right? So if I try to run this, let's see that if we are able to run this or not. Okay, if we are able to capture all the combinations or not, right? So one thing is that, I'm sorry, I have to put here the comment and I must put here the colon sign. That's the first thing, right? Now let's go and run the program and let's see that again it says list is index list out of range. Okay, so let's see that which exactly where is happening this equals to 1. Okay, so this is, I think this is the problem. This is where it is happening, right? Line 30, line number 34. So let's see that what's wrong with this. Yes, so I think the problem is that now it should not be start position, it has to be x because x after all it's changing from 0, 1 and 2, so we must go and write here x plus actually 2. Okay, so let's go and run this and let's see that. So there we go, right? Finally guys, we have done it. Now you see that combination which I was talking about, that's basically coming here, right? So we have here 2, 1 and minus 2, right? And but wait a second, I'm getting the same actually this list 2, 1 minus 2. Ideally it should be 2, 1 minus 2 and then 2 minus 2 and 1, right? Uh, okay, so I think yes, so x is a here in this x is a 1 which is changing, right? So we should go and change this to x because start position will not change. I think that's the problem. So I have changed this. You see, I mean, a lot of thought process goes. Anyways, let me see that. Yes, look at this now. 2 minus 2 and 1. So we have got the right combination here. Okay. And if I try to add, let's say, maybe 0 and maybe, let's say again, 1 and 1, right? So let's see that. Okay, 0, one more 0. I think our combinations will increase. Yeah, see that 0, 1 and 0. This is also one of the combination. Okay, so because if you're checking the last two ones, they are not going to be a part of this because when you pick this one and you try to move forward and pick three values, you only get one value. So there is one more value which is we have to pick. After all, this is triplet, right? So in case of 1 and 0, nothing will happen. But in case of 0, it's picking the 1 and the 2, right? Because we are able to see the three numbers. I mean, that's how you can cross check the things. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Okay. So guys, I hope I was able to explain you properly. But the thing is, you have to do it yourself, right? But I've given you the idea. Just go and give it a try and make a better code than that. Okay. Wish you good luck. Thank you.